Hi everyone, welcome to Supply Chain Management. Today, I will be discussing the title about risk managing end-to-end networks. First slide, it's take about flow and information. If you build a business, you must know the following. First, you must have a supplier, a manufacturing, a distribution, of course, and a retailer, and lastly, down to customer. Supply chain risk categorization. Risk category. It's a cluster of risk causes with labels such as external, environmental, technical, or organizational. For external risk, external supply chain risk, however, relate to conditions outside the company's influence, such as market tendencies, political climate, and regulatory environment. Just like, for example, regulatory changes. New regulations can create compliance challenges for companies. For instance, the introductions of stricter environmental laws can required companies to alter their supply chain practices, potentially increasing costs and complicating operations. Second will be environmental risk. A natural disaster like earthquakes and flooding are example of environmental risk. The supply chain encounters extreme weather, port closures, and other man-made disasters are additional environmental risks that may impact the supply chain. Next will be technical risk. Disruption in the supply chain can lead production delays, increased costs, and compromised product quality. For example, IT system failures. A failure in IT infrastructure, such as a server crash or software malfunction, can halt operations. For instance, if a company's enterprise resource planning system goes down, it can disrupt order processing, inventory management, and financial reporting, leading to significant operational delays and potential revenue loss. Second example will be data quality issue. Poor data quality can compromise decision-making processes within the supply chain. For instance, inaccurate demand forecasting data can lead to either excess inventory or stock shortage, disrupting the flow of goods and impacting service levels. Lastly, we have organizational risk. Some common examples of organizational risk include product launch. Launching a new product often requires a great deal of time and money and introduce risk in a business because you don't know whether the product will be successful. Operational risk are risks related to a company and internal operations and processes, including known and unknown risk within an organization. For example, we have poor supplier performance. If a supplier fails to meet quality standards or deliver schedules, it can disrupt production processes. For instance, if a manufacturer relies on the supplier for critical components and that supplier consistently delivers late or supplier products, it can lead to production delays and increased costs. And last example will be lack of communication. Poor communication between departments or within suppliers can lead to misunderstanding and misaligned priorities. In this organizational chart, for the strategic, we have single sourcing, market dynamics, product line, development information. And second will be tactical. And for the operational, for example, for operational is equipment malfunction, system failures, labor streaks. For financial, loans, credits, accounts, receivables. For the technological, IT failures, cyber disruption. And lastly, we have environmental. For example, we have natural disaster and sustainability. Supply chain risk management. Supply chain risk, a variety of possible events and their outcomes that could have a negative effects on the flow of goods, service, funds, or information resulting in some level of quantitative or qualitative loss for the supply chain. Supply chain management, the systematic identification assessment and qualification of potential supply chain disruption with the objectives to control exposure to risk or reduce its negative on supply chain performance.
Risk identification. Identifying specific risks is the first step in any risk management process. So let's look at some of the more common categories of risks to consider. First is the financial risk. It is a chance that you could lose money or not get expected return from an investment or business decision. In simple terms, it is the possibility of things not going as planned with your finances, so which could result in losing money. For example, kung ma-invest ka sa ka-negosyo, na ay posibilidad nga dili mo lang mo o mawala nimo ang imong puhunan. Second is the scope of schedule risks. So it refers to the potential for a project to be delayed due to issues with the project scope such as changes, misunderstanding, or underestimating the amount of work required. It covers the possibility that the original timeline may be affected because tasks turn out to become more complex, additional work is needed, or resources aren't available as planned. So this risk can lead to delays in project completion and can impact overall success. The third is the legal risks. It's the chance of facing problems or losses because of legal issues, such as breaking laws, being sued, or not following regulation. In simple terms, it's the risk that a company or individual might have to pay fines, face penalties, or deal with lawsuits due to not following the rules correctly. Pananglitan kung ang usa ka negosyo dili mosunod sa safety regulation, posible nga ma-face sila og kaso nga dili nga magresulta sa gasto ug daot sa ilang reputasyon.
Types of risk. First, the environmental risk, socio-political risk, project organizational risk, and human behavior risk. Environmental risk. In the sourcing process, it is critical to evaluate the risk to the environment created by your supplier or contractor. Environmental risk includes the organization's negative impact on the water, air, and soil as a result of discharge, emission, and other form of waste. This risk focuses on the potential of negative impact of company supply chains as on the environment. It is crucial to evaluate the environmental impact of your suppliers and contractors. For example, a clothing company sourcing cotton from a farm that uses excessive pesticides and fertilizer could be contribute to soil and water pollution, harming the environment and potential impacting the quality of the cotton. Socio-political risk. When the regular environmental changes in response to a new government or to increasing awareness of inequitable social conditions, many existing institutions experience difficulty or adapting sourcing effort, especially those in low-cost country, must consider the impact of these changes on the culture and business operation within the environment. Stability comes with a price. Stress arises from changes in the political or social environment that can affect a company's supply chains. It is important to consider the impact of these changes on the culture and business operations within the supply chain. For example, a company sourcing materials from a country experiencing political instability might face disruption in production, delays in shipments, or even increased costs due to political unrest or changes in government policies. Project organization risk. These are generally a result of not having the right people or equipment in the right place at the right time. You might also consider this as a planning risk. It's about the unpredictable nature of humans' action and how they can impact a supply chain. It is the most difficult assess. For example, a key employee at a supplier might suddenly leave the company, causing disruption in production and potentially impacting the quality of goods being delivered. All these risks are interconnected and can have significant impact on the efficiency, cost, and sustainability of supply chains. Companies should be aware of these risks and develop strategies to mitigate their potential impact.